everyone. I'm about to introduce to you author Alyssa Maxwell, and we're going to be talking about her brand new book, which is right there, called Murder at OCHRE Court. And I love talking to Alyssa. This is the second time that we talked, and she is so sweet and so smart. Okay, her research for this book was amazing, and I love reading her books. So, everyone, here is Alyssa.
Hi, everyone. I am so excited because I'm speaking with author Alyssa Maxwell again. This is the second time we're talking because her new book called Murder at OCHRE Court comes out this week, and I just couldn't wait to read it since I had read the previous book called Murder at Chateau Sommer. And this book was so good, Alyssa. I am so happy that I got to read it.
Oh, thank you so much, Michelle. And it's such a pleasure to be back talking with you again. Thank you.
I don't know if it's because I knew Emma more from reading the one before, but I enjoyed this book so much. I just love her so much. And, this was just an amazing book. And I finished it last night, and I was just like, oh, your books are so good.
Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. And I think you're right that maybe having already read a book with Emma in it maybe endears you to her a little bit more from book to book. And also having some of the secondary characters who have become kind of friends and family, I think also increases, the enjoyment of the story.
Yeah, I'm going to give everybody the first line of this book because I loved it so much, and then I'm going to let you tell everybody about it, because I don't like to give any spoilers. So let me just tell everybody the first line because right away I was like, I laughed, and it's such a good first line. You say, "Take my advice, Miss Cross, and marry a rich man. Then you may do whatever you like." And of course I laughed out loud because I know who she is, and I just thought it was such a great way to start this story.
I couldn't resist starting the story with Nellie Bly. I have been kind of teasing readers with Nellie over, I don't remember if I brought her up in the first book, but I know she's been early on held up as an example for Emma and how being a female journalist and wanting to write hard news is not something that is such an anachronism for the time because Nellie Bly was doing that. But the funny thing about Nellie is no matter how independent she was and how she put herself in sometimes some precarious positions as a woman to get the story, she did want to marry a rich man. That was one of her goals, and Nellie did it. I think she married late 1890s or maybe early 1900s. She married a very wealthy man.
Well, tell everybody what this book is about.
At the end of Murder at Chateau Sommer, I leave readers hanging a bit as to what Emma is going to do next in her life because she's been fired from her position at the Newport Observer as a society reporter, and she's been offered a job somewhere else, and her decision hadn't been made in that book. Now, in Murder at OCHRE Court, we find out what that decision was and how it's changed her life, but she is back in Newport for the story. I'm not going to completely give away the decision she makes, but for this book, she's back in Newport because she's tracing a man that she's come across in New York City who's a building developer, and he's done some pretty shoddy things in the course of his buildings, and they've led to collapses where people have been injured and some killed. Emma's also here, again, as a society reporter to cover the coming out of a young woman, and it's supposed to be like the coming out of the year. There are big plans for it, exciting things that have never been done before in anyone's home. And the two circumstances, this shoddy builder and this coming out party, are going to converge at OCHRE Court. And these people will be coming together. And Emma's going to be there to watch it all unfold.
Yeah, and I was reading on the back of the book, you do such a good job of giving the history of OCHRE Court. I was wondering if you could tell everybody a little bit about the history of it.
The Golay family had made their fortune in New York real estate. They owned property all over Manhattan, and this goes back a couple of generations. So by the time we get to Ogden and Mary Golay, they were extremely wealthy, probably rivaled the Vanderbilts in wealth, and yet a family that had a little bit more prestige because they were not new money as the Vanderbilts were. They were more of the old New York families that hailed back to Dutch days. So this is a very prestigious house, very prestigious family. The house was electrified, as the Breakers was, but this was a very new and modern thing in that time. So to have an invitation to any event at OCHRE Court was, quite a coup for anybody, and it really meant that they had made it into society. Mary, though, was actually one of the Wilson sisters, and Grace Wilson is an ongoing character in the series. She married Neely Vanderbilt. And the Wilsons were considered new money. And because these women, the sisters managed to marry so well, they were called the marrying Wilsons. They were considered to have married above themselves. But even so, Mary, or May as they called her, was well respected in society.
I love reading about this time period, and I thought you did such a great job in the beginning of the book explaining, that how the lights were going to go on during this coming out party, which was going to be so, amazing for everybody. And the coming out parties for Cleo, and it's like, I can't even imagine, I think we take it so for granted, right? We flick on a switch all the time. But for them it was just amazing, right?
It was new. It was like that, us having the most amazing computers or TVs that look like real life. Just a light bulb going on to them was literally bringing daylight into the house. It was like a miracle. Another thing was that these parties that the 400 would have in their beautiful mansions were always meant to outdo the last one. Nothing was done by half. They were meant to impress, and they put all their effort and money into making sure that people went away from these parties talking about them for weeks to come.
Right. That's what I love. I mean, I love the beginning so much, the way you set it up for this party so that we get the feel of that, because I would just have loved to have been there during that time. It's a time of history. There were so many new things coming out. It was such an age of discovery. And, like I said, it's like some things that we take for granted, they were just beginning to have. And the wealthy really separated from the not wealthy at that time too.
Oh yes, they did. They enjoyed the spectacle, and they enjoyed the fact that these newspapers and people like Emma were there to record everything they were doing. This was not an accident that, the paparazzi was really born, I think, in that time period. And the wealthy used them. They didn't consider it really an intrusion on their privacy to have reporters at their events, because they wanted to be known as having the biggest and the best and the most.
Yeah, I did find that interesting. I was going to say that in the beginning of the book when she was showing Emma around, and, the way they get invited in as opposed to trying to keep them out, which is what happens now. They're trying to keep the paparazzi out, and they were invited in to write an article about how awesome their party was, right?
That's right. And that is true. And society pages were very popular in those days. They sold newspapers.
Right. Well, I just loved this book so much. And, the last time I was listening to our interview that we did back in November, and we were talking about how you write, these books every 6 months, because you have 2 series going all the time.
I do.
And Having talked to so many authors since the last time I talked to you, I mean, I am truly understanding like what a gift that is for you, like how you do that. That is just incredible that you wrote this book in a 6-month period of time.
It takes a lot of focus and a lot of self-discipline. The fact that it's a series makes it quite a bit easier than if I were writing standalone books. I don't know that I would be able to do that in that case. But a lot of the characters are already laid out for me. The setting is laid out. I do have to learn about each new house and each new family, but that's actually fun. So, yeah, it is kind of easy to turn around at the end of the book before and put my head and my energy into, going back to Newport or going back to England, whichever series I happen to be working on. It's a little bit like, all right, I've been living in my summer house and now I'm going to go live in my winter house. If you know what I mean.
Yeah. And you know what?
But all kinds of home are there. Go ahead.
I have not read the Lady Maids books yet, and I'm going to, because when I saw this one, I was like, oh my gosh, I remember that that was on my list to do, and I am definitely going to do that. But do you have another one of, now that you're doing, like, this one's coming out, you're doing all the press for it and everything, and is there a Lady Maid book coming out, like, in 6 months?
There actually is. In February, A Murderous Marriage will come out. That's book 4. And funny that you should bring this up, because I had just sat down this morning to start mapping out the next book in the series, which doesn't have a name yet, but I've begun assembling characters and figuring out what will happen. So it's kind of my rough outline that will help me later write a full synopsis for the story.
I just love the detail of your writing. I love how much I learn, and then I feel like I'm there, and I love that. I love historical, this is like, it's historical fiction, but not really. It's like historical mystery, I would say,
Yeah,
right.
Definitely.
Yeah. And so it's like you give us enough of that time period to make us feel like we're back there. And then, and then there's a mystery involved, which is just, I loved it so much. So I cannot wait to read. I'm gonna read the one coming out in February, so we can talk. I can't wait to read that and be on top of that series also. And
Good.
I just want to tell everybody I'm going to be giving away. Well, Alyssa's going to be giving away a book on Instagram, and I'm going to have the link listed below, and you can win a copy of this book. And I'm looking at the cover right now as we talk, and I love your covers so much. I mean, they're just the feel of all your covers. I love these colors. I love the blue and the yellows. They do such a good job with your covers.
They really do. I'm so pleased with them. I can't even say. I think they're perfect for the series.
Oh, this one is just so beautiful. I'm looking at it just like this, and I'm like, oh, I can't wait to see it in a bookstore so I can really see it. I mean, it's just beautiful. Yeah,
it's even beautiful when you see it in real life as opposed to a monitor.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you can appreciate that. And so I just had to tell you how much I love that. But, we are looking forward to your next book. And I'm going to have all of Alyssa's links listed below. And like I said, at the back of the book, you can find out all, everything you want to know about the history of it. She does such a great job of, giving that full, like all your research. That's how I see it. And I love reading that. So thank you so much, Alyssa.
Well, thank you so much, Michelle, and thank you to your listeners for tuning in.
Yes, and we will be talking again, so.
Great. I look forward to it. Thank you so much.
Okay, have a great day. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye-bye.
so much for listening to my little chat with Alyssa. I love her. And everybody, this book comes out today. And I'm going to have the links listed below here, the Amazon link, her website link, and also the link to the Instagram where I'm going to be giving away a copy of this book today. The winner will be announced tonight, and I am so excited for her, and I cannot wait to talk to her again. Thank you so much, Alyssa.